Morning. Two weeks ago, I took a viewer's advice and put some sticks, fatwood sticks, in a match case. Now I found it a bit fiddly. The matches were a bit long. Things didn't light the way I wanted them to light. But what I've done today, I've got my K&M match safe, and this match safe has always got strike anywhere matches in it because it's got a knurled finish, which is a pretty good striker. So I'm going to do it again. So small strike anywhere matches, and I've pre-split a piece of fatwood. Now what I like about this case and strike anywhere matches over the X-Attack, and I do like the X-Attack because I can put some big matches in it, is the fact that I can close it and I've still got a striker. I'm not fiddling around and hoping the matches don't fall out. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to hold them both together, strike the match, so I light the fatwood straight away and get it in. Well, it's lit, but it really struggled. That little piece of fatwood, it's just not enough. If this was bad weather now and it was raining, that wouldn't work very well. But it's lit, and you know what that means, don't you? Time to get the pot on. Well, the pot's on, and I've put the fire now into a parallel fire-ish. Well, it was struggling a bit, but I did notice as soon as I moved out of the way, it went up a bit better. And that's probably because my body was shielding it from the wind. I'd lit the fire the opposite direction to the last time, because the last time the wind was blowing the opposite direction. So always light your fire, get out of the way, let the wind come in, do its job. Time for tea, and then I'm going to tell you all about today. As you may have guessed, today's video is all about tying loose ends up from the last few weeks. That's the first loose end tied up, lighting the fire with fatwood and a match. Worked a lot better today. Struggled a bit, probably because my first initial bundle of sticks were a bit far apart really, and it didn't want to go up as well as it should. But it's up, one match, one fire, can't grumble. I'm going to use my Grand's 4th axe, my new one, for a little bit. Try that out. And the knife from last week with a blunt edge, I've now put a secondary / micro bevel onto it, and I want to see how that fares. Well, I'm going to have some tea now and I'll get back to you. Before I start my ramblings about grinds and scandies and micro bevels and everything, I got to adjust my fire. It's not burning very well. Got some big voids. There we are, we let Mr. Wind do his magic. I don't know if you can see it, but that now was a micro bevel. First Scandi knife I had was a Bison Bushcraft Forester, and I had that in 2003. My wife bought it for me on my 30th birthday. Good gift. And before that I was mainly using cold steel knives, Chris Reeve knives and buck knives. My preferred combination was usually a cold steel Master Hunter, a buck Ranger, an S-Wing axe and a really cheap and nasty folding saw. I used them for a few years up until I discovered Uncle Ray and then Bison Bushcraft. Never did much feather sticking, usually did that with a folder. I've got a Benchmade Pinnacle which I've had for 20 years, and I used to use the serrations on that to make feather sticks, and it worked fine. And then I found the Scandis, and I've never been the same since basically. I do love a Scandi grind, and I love a zero Scandi grind. This is why it was so hard for me last week when that edge stripped, and I thought, I'm going to have to try and micro bevel it. I'm not a fan of micro bevels. If you're a regular viewer, you will know I don't like micro bevels. And the wind has worked its magic on the fire. Thank you, Mr. Wind. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a bit of work with this knife. Got this spoon of pretty hard wood. I'm going to hack away at that for a bit, see how the edge holds up. I'm going to split some wood down, and I'm going to make some feather sticks, and I'm going to see if that micro bevel works as well as a Scandi. thing is with micro bevels, they do have their place, because if you're going out for any length of time, like at the moment I'm watching Alone on the History Channel, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if I was out there with my zero Scandi grind, it wouldn't last long, even a nice steep grind, and if you need to sharpen it, it would be an absolute pig to sharpen without sharpening stones. But a micro bevel you can strap on your belt, or if you're lucky enough to find some kind of sandstone which you could flatten down, you could put a quick edge on it. You can't do that with a zero. You need some decent stones, or diamonds, which I prefer. Well, I'm going to have a hack away at this spoon for a bit now. Oh, one thing I'll just show you. I'm using this neck sheath, going all Uncle Mo's type. And I've just put, that's a Castrom branded ferro rod just on the back. And 2 Ranger bands, in case I want to put a DC3 stone on there. It's surprising though how much extra weight that DC3 stone puts on a neck sheath, because you really feel it around your neck. Taking it down a bit. Almost ready to do the bowl. Knife. Still sharp. So basically the micro bevels worked. I'm going to hammer it through a bit of wood though, just to make sure. For me, the lack of head weight on this really pisses me off. I'll be blunt about it. The head is just so light. But after my video where I put this on the wildlife head, I had a message from a friend of mine, Mike in New York State, and he said to me he always battens with it because of the lack of head weight. And I got to agree with him. If you use a batten or a baton on it, it works a damn sight better. It's a shame, because it's a sexy little axe. I just don't like the lack of head weight. Well, I done a bit of battening with the knife, no edge damage. I'm going to make a few feather sticks now, see how it goes. Not the finest feather stick wood I've ever harvested, but it'll do. That's probably the straightest edge of the lot. Every time I carry a knife around my neck, I just think of the great Kohansky, or guy. It's not shaving the wood as nice as a zero, and that's a fact. But what I think I'll do, I've got a DC4 stone, I'll give it a little tickle on that. Now these Falcon stones are quite aggressive, so unless your knife is really blunt, it does not need a lot to get it back sharp. Let's have a feel. Well, it's got bite, as Uncle Ray would say. And it shaves. We'll try again. Sometimes just changing the angle from that to that or to that does make a difference. I prefer using that portion for feather sticking. I don't like this micro bevel for feather sticking. Simple, don't like it. But as a long-term grind, easy to sharpen, it's got to win. Think about it. It makes no difference when you're carving. It's probably slightly better for cutting because the grind is higher, less steep. And you only really need to make feather sticks to light the fire. So as long as you can make 3 or 4 of them, well, it's pretty good really. It's not bad. Let's light it. And I'll use this fire steel. It's not a fire steel, it's a ferro rod. We'll give it some welly. don't think the wood is 100% dry. It lit. I can certainly feel a difference after giving it a strop. Definitely. And yeah, this wood isn't 100% dry. You may have noticed at the beginning of this video that I came in with a haversack. If you watched my last video, I was showing you my green outdoor pack, which my pal Marcus had made for me a while back. Well, he's also made this haversack. He made two, and he sent me two for my evaluation. I'm going to give you a quick look at this one now. I quite like it. May need a few tweaks, but it is a nice haversack. The only reason it's in camo is because it's a prototype and he was using up what he had. As you can probably see, it's quite deep. And I can get my silky and my axe in the front pocket. I'll put it on the floor. We've got a pocket up here with lovely orange lining, because I love orange lining. It's quite cavernous, not much in it now. Jerky. Adjustable shoulder strap. When I came in this morning, I had my Pathfinder bottle and mug in here. I've got a litre in a platypus bottle and my little flask. So I had not far off 2.5 litres of liquid in here and a few tools, and it carried really comfortably. I'm wondering if it may be a bit too deep. Time will tell. Now, I used to be a big fan of haversacks, and I always carried a haversack, whether it was a fishing bag, which are basically not far off the same as this, or a satchel type. I regularly use for work a Frost River one, which I used for the woods for a very long time. But when I started doing the YouTube thing and I was carrying a camera and a tripod, I did start finding it to be a bit awkward because I couldn't put it in the bag. I had to carry it in my hand, so I switched to a day sack. But I can get quite a bit in here, and I say a comfortable carry. I'll keep you informed on how these are going, and if you're a haversack kind of guy, you may like one. It's been a nice day here in the woods. Wind's been a bit strange. 1 minute it's blowing hard, next minute it's died to nothing, so that's affected the burn of my fire. I've tied up my loose ends. The matches and the match size pieces of fatwood, jury's out on that one. I don't think it'll be a regular thing for me. I'll stick with my ferro rod and feather sticks as my main fire lighting source. If I'd have lit that fire with just the small strike anywhere match, it wouldn't have gone up, because I wasn't that fussy with my tinder, my little sticks, to be honest with you. If I'd have been a bit fussier, it probably would have, but I more or less just shoved them all on because I wanted to see how good the fatwood worked. My fatwood isn't the best fatwood in the world, but it did work. As for the knife, I think it's going back in the box for a bit, and I'm going to stick with my S30V bush tool and my 52-100, both with the 0 grind. I've been doing that grind for well over 10 years and I've never had any problems with it, and I've sold quite a lot of knives with that grind, and I've never had anyone come back to me and say this thing's shit, it chipped. So I'm going to stick with my grind, and that one can go in the box. I may even sell it, we'll see. Well, thank you very much for watching. Hope you appreciate my efforts. Sometimes I haven't got much of a plan to do anything, and today was just to tie up some loose ends. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a thumbs up. If you want to share, that's great. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Until next time, ta-ra. As you may have guessed, today's video is all about tying loose ends up from the last few weeks. So that's the first loose end. Start again. That's the first loose end tied up, like in the other one he sent me is in waxed canvas, and it's really nice. It's a dark waxed canvas, but I thought I'd bring the camouflage out one first and try it for a few weeks, see how that one goes. Yes, I think they're going to be available in green with an orange liner or waxed canvas. I will keep you posted. I like the little axe, but the head weight for me is a bit of a bone of contentment. I would prefer the wildlife hatchet, but I'm going to keep using it for a bit and see how it goes. More of a summer axe really. I'd prefer something bigger, to be honest with you. So thanks for watching. I've said fucking so again. Got to stop saying so. So start again. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a thumbs up. If you want to share, that's great. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Until next time, ta-ra. I need a piss.